Hi there, I'm Merritt. I am a tech inventor here in America as well as a startup founder. I have over 11 issued patents and I have two pending currently, and I filed for my patents in early 2010. I was in California at the time and I had been pitching a lot of my ideas and a lot of these companies that I wanted to build, and I kept having my ideas stolen. So I recognized that nobody at that time was going to fund a woman in technology or in business in early 2010. So I filed for my first patents for my next idea in technology, and I got those issued in 2013, I believe. And I moved to Seattle and I started a company there called Weeble, which was built around, short for We the People, which is built around social navigation, live broadcasting, and private broadcasting with tips and monetization on all of it. So I was one of the first people that launched this. I was the only one that was doing it in groups around group and private and public streaming. And I had monetization on it. And we went to Menlo Park. I had this amazing team. We went to Menlo Park, and everybody was like, "What she's built is better than anything." The only other thing that was out there at the time was Merritt and Periscope. But who were going to get to fund a woman? So we were all sort of in the same time period. But I was uploaded live and mixed broadcasting. So I was covered much more, and I had social navigation and monetization, and I was different. And so I also, Weeple was a little bit different because it was a social responsibility company. I had built this company basically to bring the world together and to have a platform that also helped us save the rainforest and empowered users. When they were using it, I wanted them to know that they were giving back and making a difference. So I was very excited. I was like, look, and they were all like, this is incredible. What she's built is phenomenal. I had an amazing team. And they were like, but who can we get to fund a woman? And I was like, literally, like, you've got to be joking me. Like, I'm here for funding. Like, what's the issue? And they were like, well, I have patents. Like, we're good. And they were like, well, patents really don't mean anything anymore since 2006. And since CIA, no one's really funding patents in America anymore. No investors are really putting money. They don't take them seriously in America anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I had never heard anything like this. These were investors, and they're telling me that American patents mean nothing. And it was such a huge wake up call for me. I went home and I looked up AIA and I looked up what was happening, and I was just shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, all of these people that have these great businesses and concepts and ideas and cures and this, they're not getting any funding anymore. Like, this is a disaster for America. So I started looking for who was out there that was doing anything about this, or other people that were other inventors that were sort of in the same situation as I was. Unfortunately, without getting funding, my team sort of started to dissipate. My CTO had a child that had autism. He needed a steady paycheck. I mean, we just couldn't subside without funding like most startups. And so we had thought that patents had meaning, that they would have people behind them, that the USPTO was issuing something that was valid and that people would respect. And we were quickly recognized that no, nobody respected patents anymore. And then as I got to know more, I started to learn that big tech had actually lobbied for AIA, that after a 2006 eBay case, that patents had lost exclusivity. And because they lost that exclusive right to keep other people from using it, now people didn't, that you couldn't stop someone from using your patent. So it put people in an unusual situation. It's like if you got a squatter, you can't kick the squatter out. You can only sue for past rent and damages. So people couldn't stop big tech or these large corporations anymore from using their patented technology to get funding anymore. And because they couldn't stop them, they couldn't work out fair licensing deals, and they would take them to court instead, and then they spend millions of dollars basically bankrupting them because these companies don't have any money behind them, and to get to try to sue for these damages. So then they would partner with companies that would help fund them, and so that they could try to get money back for their patents. And to do so, they had to put their patents in another company, and then they started saying, well, these guys are trolls. But they weren't trolls. They were patent owners that were partnering with people trying to get their funding. And regardless, these are patented inventions. So it was a really misguided campaign there, brilliantly thought out by big tech to completely undermine the entire fabric of our economic foundation in this country, to fund new businesses, new cures, new climate solutions, new made in America products, all of it. And it was interesting because when they actually passed AIA, you had senators that were up there from like Seattle, Pelosi, that were saying that this is going to be, this is going to destroy made in America. They were saying that women won't be able to get patents anymore, minorities won't be able to get patents anymore, veterans won't be able to get patents anymore. And yet they still passed this bill. That's how much power big tech had. And it's crazy that they allowed this to happen, because basically they destroyed the path to funding new innovation here. So now we are here some years later, and instead of being able to fund innovation, we're still in the same place. They're taking back issued patents. They put, under Obama, when they passed AIA, they put this woman named Michelle Lee, that used to run Google's IP department, ahead of the USPTO, and she built this thing called PTAB, which is basically where part of the USPTO that just takes back issued patents. So if anybody gets, if you have an infringer, or you don't even have to have an infringer, if you just don't think these people should have a patent, you go and you file money, and someone challenges your patent, and then they take them back. It's really, really, really turned into a massive issue here in America, because they're taking back thousands of technologies. And so many startups just don't even do anything. They just say, look, we'll PTAB you. If you try to enforce your patent, we're going to PTAB you and you're going to lose it. And not only do they lose it, but it cost them $500,000. When they first started doing this under Michelle Lee, they took back 90% of patents. Are you telling me that USPTO is issuing 90% of patents are bad? That they're not bad. I mean, they're basically coming up with things. They're saying, oh, if you put the sink, the kitchen sink with this airplane, and this TV and that radio, and you put all these things together, like 10 or 20 things together, this would have been obvious. And it's so, in hindsight, you can say anything. And it's so ridiculous that they're doing that, but they are. There's no bad patents. There's only infringement on patents that they don't want to pay for. So it put us in a situation where inventors then were starting to have to pay $500,000 every time they were PTAB. And it's not like one time and you're done. They just do it over and over and over and over again. So the inventors are spending millions of dollars, and then they're never getting to court, and they're never getting their money back. So essentially, it just bankrupted American innovation. And while we basically decimated Clause 8 of the Constitution with patent rights, the rest of the world still has them. So they're still moving on in innovation. They're still getting funding. They still have exclusivity. All the investment and all of the growth is overseas and in China and these places like that. China actually strengthened their patent rights from 20 years to 25 years, driving innovation there. They even have treble damages on willful infringement. So if you knowingly use someone's patents, you get 3 times the damages on it, and you get all the money that they did. So it's just turned into like an innovation machine. I mean, before COVID, they were putting out billion-dollar startups every 3 days. Here in America, we have nothing. TikTok, they own. I mean, all of the data of America right now, of all of our youth, is on TikTok. And that's a national security threat. Not having cures, not having R&D, not having universities being able to do research and get money back for that is a massive national security threat. And we have just decimated any investment. And the hard part here is we've done it to protect a few people. We've basically destroyed thousands of innovations. I mean, I can think of some off the top of my head that have been PTAB'd. Molly Metz, obviously, she did the jump rope champion that did the jump rope. But there's so many other inventions. The garage door opener, wireless hog fencing thing, which, I'm from a farm, so I'm very familiar with, hogs are a problem, why that was a needed invention. I mean, there's the wireless microphone, which won awards for Hollywood. There was a cure for red algae in the oceans. Lots of environmental solutions that have just been p-tabbed and just invalidated. No funding. No funding. So these solutions and these incredible inventors with all of these things that could be saving our planet right now have no funding. And it's just heartbreaking to me, like what they've done. So for them to build a company now, if you're an inventor and you want to get these things out, you got to go to China, you got to go to Europe. That's where you'll get funding, because that's where the patents mean something. And so it's really we've gotten to a place in America that is just really, really, really sad. And it's so bad here that now the Democrats who passed AI originally, and I'm not anti-Democrat, I want to believe that they believe they were doing the right thing, but it's so bad right now that instead of fixing it, they're passing billion-dollar tax laws to try to compete with China. So they want taxpayers now, or their plan is to solve this through throwing money at it through taxpayers. If you think that the American taxpayers can fund innovation that's going to keep up with China versus fixing patent rights and bringing back investment from the investors all over the world to keep up with China, you're crazy. I mean, that was like $3 billion in the CHIPS Act and that other innovation bill this year. That just drives up our deficit and bring in inflation. And we got no new businesses. There's no investors investing in any new businesses in America anymore. I mean, they just let go 2 cures for cancer and a cure for Alzheimer's because our R&D on all of this stuff is gone. And you try to talk to Congress and we're trying to explain what's happened, and they're just like, oh, well, we got to protect big tech. Meanwhile, big tech, you see it every day. They're shutting down apps. I'm still a practicing inventor. They've shut down apps. I talk with other development teams. They're hounding apps, both Google and Facebook, about their APIs to log in. And they have to look at everything that you're doing and all in your data, and then they still shut you down. And so this costs us a lot of money, you know what I mean? Like to take out Facebook for their login and to being able to share what we have on our app to Facebook. Obviously, we have those APIs in there, and they're shutting people down. And they shouldn't. No apps should have this, no company should have this much power and control over every single American's livelihood. Another example is Shopify stores. I have so many friends that have Shopify stores and people that, make money through ads on Facebook. Well, Facebook just shuts them down for no reason all the time. And then it takes months to get that fixed. But if your business is reliant on those Facebook ads and you don't have the ability to do that, you're high and dry. You don't have other options. We have put all of these things into a few companies that should have been gone a long time ago. They don't have they should have had 5 Facebooks. We should have 20 Amazons. You know what I mean? Like they built this, Jeff Bezos built Amazon off the one-click purchase patent that he licensed to Apple, and then Apple paid $1 million, and that's how he got the funding to build Amazon. We should have lots of those. That patent's expired. There should be so many Amazons right now. And it's a shame that they lobby to take the same opportunities away from every single American that they had. So you basically knew the path to create companies, and instead of honoring that and living, creating a successful company and standing on the backbone of it, you basically lobbied to undermine our entire Constitution and the fabrics of our rights, to take that away from every other American for your own greed, so you never have fair competition. And that's sad. That's very, very, very sad. And it's sad that Congress has allowed this to go on for so long and to have so much control over every single American's livelihood. They are controlling everything. So right now in America, for patent holders like myself, and there's thousands of us, thousands that have lost their patents, that have just been gutted, lost their businesses. This is the fabric of Made in America, people. This isn't just like one or two patents. This is thousands. 84% of the patents that are coming out disrupting any kind of investment in American innovation. So instead of having investors growing new companies here, new jobs, new manufacturing, all of that, it's all over in China where they have strong patent rights that are funding it. And so here we are. We have, I think it was like a few weeks ago in New York City, there was a meeting. They had like 500 billion or 50 billion dollars or something that was going to patent litigation funding. So we are now in this country funding the investors, the private investors are funding patent litigation instead of actually funding Made in America. That's how bad it is. Imagine, and we're spending, taxpayers now are having to spend $3 billion growing our deficit on innovation because there's no investment in American innovation, and there never will be again until they restore patent rights. And that's what's so sad is imagine if all of that money, that 50 or $500 billion or whatever it is, was actually going to innovation, new cures for cancer, new disruptive tech, new options, new checks and balances. If they restore patents, we have check and balances again. Companies are meant to go for so long and then die off. That's what we've had in America. That's what made us number one in the world. So you have a company, they have an opportunity, they get to be their time, their 20, 25 years, and then someone else comes along or something more inventive comes along, and then they have to work together because they have this patent and this new company has this patent, so they have to figure it out. You know what I mean? That's how it works, and then they work together into the next. And then these big companies said, well, let's, we've gotten here, so let's keep everyone else from doing it. And that's not right. That's not fair, and that's completely against the American way. And it's bankrupting and it's destroying our national security. We don't have any investment into anything that we need for our future. So we've got to fix this. The only thing that's in DC that would ever fix this right now is RALIA, and it's Restoring America's, I think, Innovation Leadership Act or something. RALIA. It's HR5874. That is the only bill. There used to be the Inventor Rights Act. That would be another bill that would fix it. But we have to clarify some stuff, and we have to really get this done. And then the other thing I just wanted to say about this whole patent troll narrative, just to make sure everybody understands that there are no patent trolls. There's only infringers. You cannot come after and sue somebody for infringement if they're not using your patents. I mean, and nobody is going to go up to somebody that's not making serious money off of someone's IP and say, you owe me money. That's just not going to happen. But if you are making a substantial amount of money, and I mean substantial, millions, 10 million, something like that, someone's going to, off of someone's patents, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, either stop using it or pay me what you owe me for it. And that's just totally normal. This is what a property right is. That's like saying, oh, well, musicians shouldn't be able to get royalties when their songs are used. Studios shouldn't get paid when the songs are used. That's like saying actors and influencers, and they shouldn't get paid for their likeness. Models, and they shouldn't get paid for their likeness. When you're using someone's property, there's a cost to do that, and it's no different. Landlords is another example. Are they trolls? I mean, there's a cost, and we're trying to acknowledge that, and you have to acknowledge that there's no trolls. There's only patent pirates that are stealing from people that aren't paying for that technology. I mean, I look at these people and I'm like, how are these people? You basically lobbied to undermine our entire economic foundation. You've broken America's constitutional rights here, and you're stealing from people, and people are celebrating you every day, and you wouldn't be in the position you were in if you didn't do all these bad things and you weren't stealing from hardworking American inventors and like inventors and small companies. The backbone of all these people is on other people's companies. There's nothing that they're doing at this point that they're not stealing from other people, like inventions or whatever. And it's just unfortunate that we're letting them get bigger and bigger and bigger instead of putting patents in place and putting those checks and balances so that other companies have a chance to build and grow here in America as well. We need options, and that's what we've always had in America, and that's what the rest of the world has. That's continuing to grow their economies that we've lost here. So we've got to get that back. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I hope everybody will support us and join in our calls and help us get 5874 passed. Raw, yeah. Thank you so much. All right, bye.